I used to think family meant unconditional love and support. That was before my sister Sandra orchestrated my downfall over appetizers at Bella Luna, our family's favorite Italian restaurant. So then I told the board we needed a complete overhaul of the charity's marketing strategy, Sandra announced, waving her wine glass for emphasis. They were practically falling over themselves to implement my ideas. My name is Anne, and I've spent 32 years being the invisible sister. That night was no different, watching my parents hang on Sandra's every word while my own news, a promotion I'd worked 3 years to earn, sat untouched like the bread basket between us. "Anne, honey, you've barely touched your pasta," Mom said during a rare pause in Sandra's monologue. "Is everything okay?" I straightened in my chair. "Actually, I wanted to tell you all something. I'm up for senior marketing director at—" "Oh, speaking of directors," Sandra cut in, "you'll never believe who I ran into at the country club. Remember Neil Stanley, Anne's boss?" My fork froze halfway to my mouth. "You saw Neil?" "Such a charming man," Sandra continued, sharing a knowing look with her husband Ronnie. "We had the most interesting conversation about the industry," Ronnie smirked. "Fascinating guy. Very illuminating about certain workplace dynamics." "That's nice," I managed, my stomach turning to concrete. "When was this? Last week? Or was it 2 weeks ago, darling?" Sandra directed the question to Ronnie, who shrugged with exaggerated nonchalance. Dad cleared his throat. "Sandra, tell us more about the gala plans." And just like that, the conversation shifted back to Sandra's latest charitable endeavour, leaving my unfinished announcement hanging in the air like cigarette smoke. The next morning at work, something felt off. Neil barely glanced at me during our team meeting, though he'd been my mentor for 3 years. When I stopped by his office to discuss the promotion timeline, his secretary said he was unavailable. All day. "Anne," Hayley, my closest work friend, caught me at the coffee machine. "Have you noticed people acting weird?" "Define weird." She lowered her voice. "I overheard marketing VP's assistant talking about internal restructuring, and your name came up. Not in a good way." "What do you mean?" "There are rumours about stolen ideas, performance issues." Hayley glanced around before continuing. "Someone's been feeding Neil some pretty serious allegations." My coffee suddenly tasted like battery acid. "That's ridiculous. I've led every major campaign this quarter. The numbers speak for themselves." "I know that, but—" Hayley bit her lip. "Remember that innovative social media strategy you developed? The one that increased engagement by 40%? Of course. It's part of my promotion package. Someone's claiming you copied it from a competitor. They have proof." She made air quotes with her fingers. I thought about Sandra at the country club, her carefully casual mention of meeting Neil, the way Ronnie smirked across the dinner table. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. "Sandra's gala made the local news. Isn't she amazing? Sending link." I closed the message without clicking. 3 years of perfect performance reviews, countless late nights and weekends sacrificed, all circling the drain because— "Anne." Hayley touched my arm, her expression grave. "There's something else you should know. I think your sister's been in touch with Neil. A lot." The coffee cup crumpled in my hand, hot liquid splashing onto my white blouse, but I barely felt it. All I could hear was Sandra's voice from dinner. Such a charming man. We had the most interesting conversation about the industry. My sister, the golden child, the family favourite, the one who could do no wrong, had just declared war. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't going to back down quietly. I smoothed my stained blouse, straightened my spine, and met Hayley's concerned gaze. "Tell me everything you know. Don't leave out a single detail, because that's the thing about being invisible. No one expects you to fight back. No one sees you gathering ammunition, and no one realizes you're dangerous until it's too late." The evidence of my sister's sabotage unfolded like a horror story told through email timestamps and calendar invites. Hayley and I spent lunch breaks piecing it together, huddled in the corner of a coffee shop 2 blocks from the office. "Look at this," Hayley whispered, turning her laptop screen toward me. "Neil's secretary accidentally copied me on this email chain. Sandra met him for lunch 3 times in the past month." I scanned the correspondence, my coffee growing cold. Private dining room at the Metropolitan Club. Of course. There's more. Haley clicked through to a forwarded message. Someone's been sending anonymous tips about you to HR. The IP address traces back to... Let me guess. My sister's marketing firm? Bingo. I closed my eyes, remembering all the times Sandra had called me lately, asking seemingly innocent questions about my projects. How's that social campaign going? Which clients are you handling? Each conversation now felt like reconnaissance. My phone buzzed. Mom calling. I declined it. You have to confront them, Haley said. This is straight-up sabotage. She was right. That evening, I drove to my parents' house, where Sandra and Ronnie were coincidentally having dinner. How convenient. Annie! Mum opened the door with her usual flourish. What a surprise! We're just sitting down to eat. The dining room fell silent as I entered. Sandra's perfect smile flickered for just a moment. Neil called me into his office today, I announced without preamble. Apparently, there are concerns about my professional integrity. Dad suddenly became very interested in his mashed potatoes. Oh? Sandra's voice dripped with false concern. That sounds serious. It is, especially since the allegations came right after your lunch dates with him. The clatter of silverware stopped. Mum's face went pale. What are you implying? Sandra's eyes narrowed. I run in the same professional circles as Neil. We're bound to cross paths. 3 private lunches in a month isn't crossing paths, Sandra. You're deliberately... Annie, Mum cut in. Don't be paranoid. Your sister's been so stressed lately with the gala planning. She doesn't have time for whatever you're suggesting. Stressed? I laughed. She's had time to compile a detailed dossier of fake evidence against me. Or did Ronnie help with that part? Ronnie's smug expression wavered. Watch your accusations, Anne. They could be considered defamatory, like the accusations you fed to my boss. I pulled out my phone, displaying the email chain. Should we discuss the IP addresses these came from? That's enough. Mum slammed her hand on the table. Anne, I'm shocked at you. Coming here attacking your sister with these wild theories. They're not theories, Mum. I have proof. What you have, Sandra interjected smoothly, is a pattern of paranoid behaviour that frankly concerns me. Maybe this is why Neil's having doubts about your promotion? Dad cleared his throat. Annie, honey, maybe this is all for the best. Your sister's just looking out for you. She knows the industry better than... Looking out for me? My voice cracked. By destroying my career. Nobody's destroying anything, Mom soothed. Sandra's been so successful in her field. Maybe she sees something you don't. I stared at them, my family, all choosing to believe Sandra's lies over my truth. Again. Always. My phone buzzed with an email notification from Neil. Meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. Position reconsideration. I have to go, I said, standing up. My chair scraped against the floor like a scream. Annie, don't leave like this, Mum pleaded. Stay for dinner. We can talk this through. Sandra reached for my hand. Yes, stay. You're clearly upset. Let's discuss this rationally. I yanked my hand away. The time for discussion was before you decided to destroy everything I've worked for. That's a bit dramatic, Ronnie scoffed. It's just business. Just business. Like the way Sandra had systematically undermined me our entire lives was just sibling rivalry. Like my parents' constant dismissal of my achievements was just family dynamics. I walked out, ignoring Mum's calls behind me. In my car, another email notification lit up my phone screen. Anne, given recent developments and concerns raised about your professional conduct, we regret to inform you that the Senior Marketing Director position is no longer available. Please see HR tomorrow to discuss your current role and future with the company. Neil. My hands shook as I gripped the steering wheel. They thought they'd won. Sandra would gloat over dinner, Mum would rationalise it as for the best, and Dad would avoid the subject entirely. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They assumed I'd break. Instead, I was about to show them exactly what the invisible sister could do when she finally decided to be seen. The HR meeting was exactly what I expected. Corporate buzzwords masking character assassination. I sat there, nodding meekly, playing the role of the defeated sister they all thought I was. We value your contributions, Anne, But trust is paramount, Neil said, not meeting my eyes. Perhaps a lateral move to customer service? I signed the paperwork with trembling hands. Let them think it was from distress rather than rage. As soon as I left the office, I called Haley. My apartment, lunch break, bring your laptop. She arrived with takeout and determination. I'm so sorry, Anne. What's the plan? First, we document everything. I opened my own laptop. Every email, every meeting, every anonymous tip. I want a timeline that would make a forensic investigator weep. Already started. Haley pulled up a spreadsheet. And there's something else. Remember that crypto investment firm Ronnie's always bragging about? The one promising impossible returns? I have a friend in financial compliance. She says it's raising red flags. Major ones. My phone buzzed. Sandra calling. I sent it to voicemail. They think I'm done, I said, forwarding crucial emails to a secure account. That I'll crawl away and lick my wounds. But here's what we're going to do. Over the next week, I played my part perfectly. I cleared out my desk, declined farewell drinks, posted a vague LinkedIn update about pursuing new opportunities. Meanwhile, Haley became my eyes and ears in the office. Neil's getting nervous, she reported during our daily coffee meetup. The quarterly numbers came in. Your campaigns were carrying the department. And Sandra posted about supporting family through difficult times on Instagram. The comments are interesting. I smiled. Save those screenshots. Then came the email I'd been waiting for. From Josiah Thomas, Senior VP at our biggest competitor. Anne, heard about your situation. Would love to discuss potential opportunities. Dinner tomorrow? At the restaurant, Josiah cut straight to the chase. Your social media strategy was brilliant. The one they accused you of stealing? We've been trying to replicate those results for months. Funny you should mention that. Not funny at all. I've worked with Neil before. He's got a history of questionable decisions, especially when pressured by the right people. I took a sip of water. How would you feel about making those decisions public? Josiah leaned forward. I'm listening. I have evidence, lots of it, emails, recordings, documentation of systematic harassment and corporate sabotage. Plus, I paused for effect, information about a certain investment scheme that several key players are involved in. That could be valuable to the right people. It could also be valuable to the wrong people, like the SEC. Josiah's eyes gleamed. We have an opening for Director of Digital Strategy, better salary, stock options, and a clean slate in our Boston office. Boston? I thought about the distance, hundreds of miles from Sandra's influence, from my parents' enabling, from the weight of being the family disappointment. When do you need an answer? Take the weekend? But Anne? He caught my eye. Don't let them win. That night, I received a text from an unknown number. Looking into Ronnie's firm. You're going to want to see this. Call me. Followed by another with detailed financial records that made my hands shake. I was up until 3 a.m., poring over documents, connecting dots, building my case. Every manipulative lunch, every sabotage project, every fake accusation. It was all there, waiting to be exposed. My phone lit up with a message from Mum. Sandra's worried about you. She says you're not returning her calls. Family dinner on Sunday? For once, their predictability worked in my favour. They thought I was hiding, retreating, breaking down. They had no idea I was building an arsenal. I texted back, can't make dinner, taking some time to process everything. Let them think I was processing. Let them think I was defeated. Let them think whatever they wanted, because while they were celebrating their victory, I was preparing for war. I called Josiah. About that position in Boston. Yes, I'll take it. But first, I need to tie up some loose ends here. Understood. How long do you need? I looked at my wall, now covered in evidence, connections, and carefully documented betrayals. Sandra's perfectly crafted house of cards was about to meet a hurricane. Give me 2 weeks. I want to make sure everything's properly documented. After hanging up, I received one final text for the night, from Haley. You won't believe what Sandra just said at the bar. I got it all on video. I smiled at my phone. Sometimes karma needs a little help. and I was about to become Karma's favorite assistant. Haley's video was better than I could have imagined. There was Sandra, 3 martinis deep, holding court at our local bar. I mean, did she really think she could outshine me? Sandra's words slurred slightly as she leaned toward her audience. I made sure Anne would never top me. Neil was so easy to manipulate. Just had to mention regulatory concerns, drop a few hints about stolen ideas. I watched it for the 5th time, each viewing sweeter than the last. Meanwhile, my investigation into Ronnie's investment scheme was yielding gold. These returns aren't just impossible, my financial contact explained over a secure line. They're criminal, classic Ponzi structure, but with a crypto twist to make it seem legitimate. And my parents' involvement? According to these documents, they've invested their entire retirement fund. Sandra and Ronnie too, they're all in deep. I was compiling the final pieces when Josiah called. How's the documentation coming? Better than expected. You might want to move up the timeline. Things are about to get interesting here. How so? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with another call. Haley. Hold on, Josiah. Anne. Haley's voice was urgent. Sandra just left Neil's office. She looked scared. Scared how? Like someone who just realized they backed the wrong horse. The quarterly numbers are terrible without your campaigns. And Neil, he's starting to crack under pressure. I switched back to Josiah. How soon can you get me to Boston? Next week, but what's... Perfect. Send the offer letter today. The pieces were falling into place. That evening, I received a frantic text from Sandra. We need to talk. It's important. I met her at a coffee shop, recording the conversation on my phone. Look, she began, fidgeting with her cup. Maybe I was a bit harsh about the work situation. Harsh? I kept my voice neutral. Is that what we're calling it? Things got out of hand, but I'm willing to help fix it. Put in a good word with Neil. Like the good words you put in before? She flushed. I was feeling threatened. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. Ronnie's investment firm is taking off. The gala committee expects... How is Ronnie's firm doing? I interrupted. Those 40% returns must be nice. Something flickered in her eyes. Fear. It's complicated. Business stuff. You wouldn't understand. Try me. Actually, since you mention it... She leaned forward. We're looking for new investors. With your savings, you could... No. But it's a family opportunity. Mom and Dad are in and... I'm sure they are. I stood up. Good luck with everything, Sandra. Wait. She grabbed my arm. Please, don't look too closely at the firm. For the family's sake. I gently removed her hand. Funny. That's exactly what you didn't do for me. Back home, I finalized my acceptance letter to Josiah's company. The salary was double my previous one, with stock options that made my head spin. But the real victory was the location, far from Sandra's reach. My phone lit up with a message from Neil. Can we meet? To discuss reconciliation? Too late, Neil. Way too late. Haley sent another update. Overheard Ronnie on the phone. Something about liquidity issues and temporary setback. He sounded desperate. Perfect timing. I opened my laptop and began composing emails. One to the SEC, one to the state financial regulators, and one to a journalist friend who specialized in exposing financial fraud. My phone buzzed again. Mom. Sandra says you're being difficult about the investment opportunity. Why can't you support your family for once? I stared at the message. Years of guilt and obligation rising up. Then I remembered Sandra's drunken confession on video, her smirk across Neil's office, her casual destruction of my career. Sorry, Mum. I'm done supporting people who don't support me. I hit send on all 3 emails, then opened a bottle of wine. Within hours, my phone was flooded with missed calls. Sandra, Ronnie, Mom, Dad. I silenced them all. Let them panic. Let them scramble. Let them feel what I felt. That moment when everything you built starts crumbling around you. Because while they were desperately trying to reach me, I was packing for Boston. And Karma? Karma was just warming up. My resignation letter was a masterpiece of professional restraint. Due to personal circumstances, I am pursuing other opportunities. No mention of sabotage, no hint of revenge. Let them think I'd broken. Neil's response was immediate. Please reconsider. We can discuss compensation adjustments. Too late. I'd already signed Josiah's offer. Haley helped me pack up my desk after hours. They're going to implode without you, she said, boxing up my awards. Neil's been in closed-door meetings all week. How's Sandra taking it? Haven't seen her around, but Ronnie looks like he hasn't slept in days. I smiled, thinking of the SEC investigation I'd triggered. Sleep would be the least of Ronnie's problems soon. My new apartment in Boston was everything I needed. High-rise, doorman, security system. A fortress against family manipulation. I'd given no one my new address. Zlata, my new mentor at the company, welcomed me on my first day. Josiah says you're a strategic genius. Show me. I did. Within weeks, my campaigns were outperforming every metric. Zlata became more than a mentor. She became the sister I should have had. Your family's been calling the office, she mentioned one afternoon. Should we be concerned? No, I said, pulling up our latest analytics. They're just realizing actions have consequences. My phone had been a battlefield of desperate messages. Mum, Annie, please call us. It's important. Dad, your mother's worried sick. Sandra, this isn't funny anymore. Answer your phone. Ronnie, we need to discuss something urgent. I blocked them all. Haley kept me updated on the aftermath. Neil's drinking at his desk. The department's numbers are tanking. And get this, Sandra's charity gala postponed indefinitely. I was reviewing quarterly projections with Zlata when the first news alert hit. Local investment firm under federal investigation for suspected fraud. Then another, prominent marketing executive linked to corporate sabotage scandal. My phone exploded with notifications. I silenced it without looking. Everything okay? Zlata asked. Perfect, I replied, highlighting another successful campaign metric. Just some background noise. That evening, I treated myself to dinner at an upscale restaurant. The maitre d' approached my table. Miss, there's a call for you at the front desk. They say it's a family emergency. No emergencies, I said, cutting into my steak. Not anymore. Back home, I found an email from my financial contact. Raids happening tomorrow, multiple arrests expected. Your family's investments? Complete loss. They're wiped out. I poured a glass of wine and opened my balcony door, letting the Boston air wash over me. My phone buzzed. Haley. You won't believe this, she said. Sandra just got escorted out of her office. Something about pending investigations and cooperation with authorities. How did she look? Like someone who finally realized karma is real. I took a sip of wine. Any word about Neil? Board meeting tomorrow, but word is your documentation about the sabotage. It's being reviewed by legal. Perfect timing. I'd waited until I was safely established in Boston before anonymously releasing the evidence of Neil's misconduct. My laptop chimed with a new email from Mom. Anne, if you're reading this, please help. Everything's falling apart. Sandra and Ronnie are facing serious trouble. Your father and I, we've lost everything. We need you. You're our only hope. I closed the laptop without replying. Let them feel what I felt. The helplessness, the betrayal, the cold realization that your own family could destroy you. Zlata called to discuss tomorrow's presentation. You seem distracted. Just processing some family drama. Want to talk about it? No, I said, watching the city lights flicker below. But I would love to discuss that new digital strategy you mentioned. She laughed. All business. I like it. My phone lit up with one last message, a voicemail from Sandra. Her voice was broken, desperate. Anne, something's happened. We need to talk, please. I know we hurt you, but please call back. Everything's falling apart, and you're the only one who can help us fix it. I deleted the message without finishing it. They wanted the old Anne, the one who would cave, who would help, who would sacrifice herself for family harmony, but that Anne was gone. She died the day they chose to destroy her career, instead of celebrating her success. The new Anne? She was just getting started. The news broke on a Tuesday morning. Local investment firm CEO arrested in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. Ronnie's smug face plastered across financial websites, being led out in handcuffs. Zlata dropped a coffee on my desk. Isn't that your brother-in-law? Former brother-in-law, I corrected, scanning the article. Investor losses in the millions. Criminal charges pending. Sandra named as a person of interest. My phone vibrated. Haley. It's chaos here. Sandra's having a meltdown in the parking lot. Your parents just showed up too. Then came the text from Mum. We've lost everything. The house, the savings, everything. Please, Annie, we need you. I stayed silent. Dad tried next. I know we weren't always fair to you, but we're still family. Delete. Sandra's message was pure desperation. They're freezing our accounts. Ronnie's in jail. The FBI took our computers. I don't know what to do. I forwarded everything to my lawyer, then focused on my presentation. My team's numbers were breaking company records. Success, as they say, is the best revenge. Anne. Josiah appeared at my office door. Your sister's downstairs. Security won't let her up without your approval. Good. She's causing a scene. I sighed. Let her up. Might as well end this. Sandra looked nothing like the polished sister who'd orchestrated my downfall. Her designer outfit was wrinkled, her makeup smeared. 5 minutes, I said, not offering her a seat. They're saying Ronnie stole people's life savings. Her voice cracked. Mum and Dad's retirement, our house down payment, my Gala Foundation funds, all gone. We need help, Annie. Money, a place to stay, anything. Like the help you gave me? That was different. I was scared you'd overshadow me. You were always so perfect, so capable. So you destroyed my career. I'm sorry. Is that what you want to hear? I'm sorry. Now please, help us. We're about to lose everything. I pulled out a folder labelled Just Desserts and placed it on my desk. What's that? Evidence. Every email you sent Neil, every fake complaint, every anonymous tip. Plus, I slid out another stack of papers. Complete documentation of Ronnie's fraud scheme, which you knew about. Her face went pale. I never... You bragged about it at Lorenzo's bar. Want to see the video? You did this? You reported Ronnie? Karma did this. I just helped it along. Our parents are sleeping on friends' couches. They might lose their house. Actions have consequences, Sandra, even for golden children. She started crying. Real tears this time, not the manipulative ones I'd grown up with. What do you want from me? Nothing. That's the beauty of it. I don't need anything from you anymore. So you're just going to let us suffer? Like you let me suffer? Yes. I stood up. Now, unless you want security to escort you out... Wait! She grabbed my arm. There's something else. The FBI, they're looking into my involvement with Ronnie's scheme. I could go to jail. Probably should have thought about that before signing those fraudulent documents. Please, Annie, I'm your sister. I gently removed her hand. No, Sandra. You're just someone who shares my DNA. There's a difference. Mom was right, she spat, desperation turning to anger. You've turned cold, heartless. No, I've turned smart. Security will show you out. As she left, Zlata appeared in my doorway. Everything okay? Perfect. I straightened my desk. Ready for the board meeting. They're going to love your numbers. She paused. Your sister looked rough. She's reaping what she sowed. My phone buzzed one last time. A group text from Mum. Family emergency meeting tonight. Anne, please come. We need to discuss options as a family. I typed my response carefully. I'm not family. I'm just the sister you threw under the bus, the daughter you never protected, the one you all thought you could destroy. How's that working out for you? Then I blocked them all, permanently. Zlata touched my shoulder. Board's waiting. I grabbed my presentation materials, leaving the Just Desserts folder on my desk. Let them scramble. Let them panic. Let them feel what I felt when they took everything from me. Because while they were facing the consequences of their actions, I was about to nail the biggest presentation of my career. And the best part? I did it all without them. 3 months after Sandra's office meltdown, my doorman called. Miss, your family's here. All of them. I'd been expecting this. The news about Ronnie's sentencing had broken that morning. 8 years for fraud. Sandra was facing charges too. Send them up. They filed into my apartment like funeral mourners. Mum's designer clothes replaced by department store clearance. Dad's confident posture now stooped. Sandra's perfect makeup couldn't hide her hollow eyes. Even in defeat, they managed to look disappointed in me. "Nice place," Mom said, glancing around my penthouse view. "You seem to be doing well." "I am." I poured wine for everyone. Let them think I was being hospitable. "Shall we discuss why you're really here?" Sandra broke first. "The prosecutors offered me a deal, but I need character witnesses, family support, and money for legal fees." I sipped my wine. "Is that why you tracked down my address?" "Annie," Dad cleared his throat. "We know we handled things poorly, but we're still family." "Are we?" I opened my laptop. "Let's review what family means to you." I played Sandra's drunken confession video. Her face went ash white. "That was taken out of context," she whispered. "Really? How about these emails?" I pulled up the correspondence with Neil. "The ones where you systematically destroyed my career?" Mum stepped in. "Sweetheart, we were trying to protect you." "From what? Success? Happiness? Independence from your control?" "You don't understand," Sandra pleaded. "I was desperate. Ronnie's scheme was falling apart. I needed to ensure we stayed on top. By pushing me to the bottom, I turned to my parents, and you enabled her, every time." Dad shifted uncomfortably. "We made mistakes." "Mistakes?" I laughed. "Let's talk about mistakes." I laid out documents one by one. "Mum, signing over your retirement to Ronnie's scheme? Mistake. Dad, remortgaging the house for Sandra's investment opportunity? Mistake. Supporting Sandra's sabotage of my career? That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice." "We can fix this," Mum begged. "Together, as a family." "Fix what? Your reputation? Your finances? Your golden daughter's legal troubles?" Sandra stood up. "I admit it, okay? I was wrong. I was jealous and scared and terrible. Is that what you want to hear?" "What I want," I said quietly, "is for you to feel what I felt. The betrayal, the helplessness, the realization that your own family would rather destroy you than see you succeed." "So this is revenge?" Dad asked. "No, this is karma. I just helped it along." "Please," Mum whispered, "we have nowhere else to go." "You have exactly what you gave me. Nothing." Sandra's composure cracked. "They're going to arrest me tomorrow. I could go to jail." "Actions, dear sister, have consequences." "What do you want from us?" Dad's voice broke. I stood up, walking to my floor-to-ceiling windows. "I want you to understand something. Every time you dismissed me, I got stronger. Every time you chose Sandra, I became more independent. Every time you tried to break me, I built something better. And now you're going to let her suffer." Mum's voice trembled. "Like you let me suffer?" "Yes." I turned back to them. "By the way, this entire conversation is being recorded. One copy for me, one for the prosecutors." Sandra collapsed onto my couch. "You wouldn't. The sister you knew wouldn't. But you killed her, remember, when you decided to destroy everything she worked for." "Annie, please." Mum started. "It's Anne, and this meeting is over." "We're your family," Sandra shouted as I opened the door. "No, you're just people who taught me exactly what I don't want to be." They left one by one. Mum crying, Dad silent, Sandra broken. As the door closed behind them, Zlata called. "How did it go?" "Exactly as expected." I watched their defeated figures through my window, heading into the cold Boston night. They wanted money, support, salvation. And I gave them what they gave me, a hard lesson in consequences. My phone buzzed with a text from Haley. "Just saw the news about Sandra's arrest. You okay?" I typed back, "Never better." Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just succeeding, it's succeeding while watching your enemies fall by their own hand. And I had front row seats to the show. Haley arrived in Boston on a crisp autumn morning, carrying a bottle of champagne and newspaper clippings. "Had to see you in person for this," she said, spreading the articles across my coffee table. Sandra's guilty plea made national news. I scanned the headlines. Marketing executive pleads guilty in investment fraud case. 3 years in federal prison, plus restitution. "Your parents?" Haley asked. "Living in a rental apartment. Dad's working part-time at a hardware store. Mum's selling her designer clothes online." "And how does that make you feel?" I considered the question while pouring champagne. Honestly, nothing. That's the most surprising part. My phone buzzed. Zlata. Board meeting in an hour. Ready to accept that promotion? Speaking of success, Hayley grinned, pulling up an article on her phone. Look who's being featured in Forbes' 40 Under 40. There was my photo, my story, minus the family drama. Rising marketing executive revolutionizes digital strategy. You did it, Hayley said softly. You really did it. The doorbell rang. A courier with a thick envelope from my parents' address. Inside was a letter from Mum. Dear Anne, your father and I are selling the house. The bank's foreclosing anyway. While packing, I found these. Beneath the letter were photos. Me at science fairs, spelling bees, graduation, always in the background, while Sandra dominated the foreground. Always achieving, always ignored. They still don't get it, I told Hayley. They think showing me old photos will make me forget what they did. What are you going to do with them? I walked to my fireplace and struck a match. Make room for new memories. As the photos curled and burned, my phone lit up. An unknown number. Hello? Anne? A familiar voice. It's Neil. I put him on speaker for Hayley's benefit. I'm being investigated for corporate misconduct. Your documentation, it's devastating. Karma's interesting that way? Please, his voice cracked. I could lose everything. Like you helped Sandra take everything from me? Silence. Goodbye, Neil. Hayley raised her glass. To karma. To consequences, I corrected. My intercom buzzed again. The doorman. Miss, your sister's here. Sandra's supposed to be in prison, Hayley frowned. Not Sandra, I said. Send her up. Zlata entered carrying files and coffee. Ready to strategize? The London office needs our magic. My new sister, I explained to Hayley. The one who builds me up instead of tearing me down. Slater laughed. Speaking of building, show her the offer. I pulled out a letter. Global Marketing Director, London office, 7 figures. Take that, Sandra, Hayley whispered. No, I said. This has nothing to do with Sandra. This is all me. My phone buzzed one last time. A news alert. Local marketing firm closes amid scandal. Neil Stanley resigns. You know what the best revenge is? I asked, setting my phone face down. Realizing you don't need it anymore. Zlata spread the files across my table. London's waiting. Shall we? I looked at these women, Hayley, who stood by me, Zlata, who believed in me, and felt something I'd never felt with my biological family. Peace. First, I raised my glass. A toast. Not to revenge, not to karma, but to choosing your own family, to building instead of breaking, to rising from the ashes they created. To dancing in the fire, Hayley added, remembering my words from months ago. No, I smiled, to lighting our own flames. We clinked glasses as the autumn sun painted my apartment gold. Below, Boston hummed with possibility. Somewhere, Sandra sat in a prison cell. My parents packed up their memories. Neil faced his reckoning. But here, in this moment, none of that mattered. Because the invisible sister wasn't invisible anymore. She was incandescent. Now, I turned to the London files. Let's make some magic. Hayley and Zlata leaned in, and we began planning the next chapter, one where I wasn't defined by what my family did to me, but by what I chose to do for myself. The photos in my fireplace had turned to ash, but I didn't need them anymore. The past could burn. The future was blazing bright enough on its own. And this time, I was holding the matches.